Radio Rahim with Derek James at the precipice of one of the biggest fights since the turn of the century, I say. Maybe the best year in boxing because this fight is happening now. The weigh-in is done. The talking's done. The training's done. Your press is the only thing that's not done. Now, we know that Errol Spence right now has 24 hours plus to prepare for what is, by any definition, the biggest moment of his life in this boxing career. What do you do as a trainer, having been responsible for mental, physical, spiritual, as he would put it, well-being in this last 24 hours before a moment that will arrive on Saturday night?
You know, what I do, man, is I try to relax. And really, I'm here with my family, so we kind of cool out a little bit. My brother, my wife, my daughters, my son, kind of interact and engage with them. At the same time, you know, everybody wants to pull you everywhere. You're like, no, man, I have to be in the moment. And I meditate, so that's what I do. Stay focused on what I'm doing.
So you're a captain of the ship. Obviously, you know, you're the one in the corner that has to be calm and has to be assessing everything. You've got the game plan together. But for your fighter, are you spending time with him in this last 24 hours? Are you giving him space? What's the relationship like that?
Space. I don't see him until it's time to go to the fight. Sometimes we'll go to breakfast together. That's really only, he'll you know, every now and then. But really it's like about letting him have his space, because he's really like a guy who doesn't like to be surrounded all the time. And he's always surrounded all the time. So he's like, man, I don't want to see Derek. You know, so like within fight time, let's go.
At the weigh-in, yesterday really, before the weigh-in, we saw in his face, and the comments were made about, you know, how tough it looked for him to get down to 147. How big a part of that was camp, and is that going to be a factor in the fight?
No, man, he has a nutritionist, man, and that guy's on point. So it's tough for him to get down because he has to follow a regimen, right? So when you see him, he's making weight. It's truly regimented by Elliot. Elliot Buckle is a dietitian, and he takes care of him. I mean, really, he makes sure he makes the weight.
Both fighters got to make weight. This one is probably a bit easier for Terrence Crawford than it will be for Errol Spence. But even as nice as these guys are and as respectful as they've been at the press conference, it got heated. People are on the edge. We right ready for the fight. What did you make of all the back and forth, the things that were thrown at your way?
I think that it's just life, man. It's like the game, man. It's like part of the show. You know what I mean? Like, I know for me, I look back and I was like, I probably shouldn't have said some of the things I said or even reacted at all. But it's part of the show. I mean, you know, it's like, yeah, you say something, you're going to say something. And that's kind of what it was. But, I mean, I think that everybody's temperature, like everything that they've been banking on their whole career, if you think about it, he wins, but he's still in Errol's shadow. Because Errol still is the biggest seller, more pay-per-views, more sells out stadiums. So it's like, I think that they get an opportunity now to basically like fight that idea of what greatness is. Like, I think I saw Bomac say that the media made Errol. And so that's what he believes. So now it's time for the show and prove whatever they believe.
Well, that may be true for you, too. I mean, there are more than 2 competitors in the ring, at least between rounds. There's 4. Trainers are as competitive as fighters at times.
Well, I'm my greatest competition, so he's not my competition. And really, it would be, if you want to count, it would be 2 fighters and 5 competitors. There's 4 of them. It's only 1 of me. Now, remember that. So, but now at the same time, it's like, I'm not even, I don't compete with them. I don't think about them. If you're thinking about me instead of your guy, game over.
You're the reigning coach of the year, trainer of the year. That, like in any other profession, is going to put a target on your back. Other trainers want to prove themselves against you. And you got an uphill climb starting with Errol Spence right now.
Really, it started like 2 weeks ago with Frank Martin, then with Errol, then next AJ, then Jermall. Listen, man, but at the same time, you think about it like this. To get to where you want to be in life, or to have an idea or dream or thought about what you want to do, there's always difficulties. It's always issues. And these guys are just issues and difficulties and we just have to push through to be able to get to where we want to be. There's always a target, so I'm always repping myself. It's like when I fight, when I was AJ fought the kid Jermaine Franklin, and I'm like, man, and the coach is like, we're cool, but then dare to fight. I realized he's like, no. So I'm like, okay, you realize that they're fighting my reputation.
I mean, arguably, not even arguably, really, you got the biggest 3 fights that will happen in the next 2 months.
Right.
All of these guys you have been at the mountaintop. They're all underdogs, though.
Right. That's cool. I like that.
You like that?
Yeah.
How do you approach not just a fighter who's been to the mountaintop, had the straps, been the favorite for most of their career, now coming into a situation where they're doubted, where they're seen as underdogs, and then have them all in the gym together? How do you keep that a positive environment? And what will this mean for your legacy these next 3 fights?
Well, what it means is that these guys believe in themselves so much that nothing that somebody else can say about them hinders them, affects them. They know about the work that they put in. They know about what they have to do and what they really want to attain. So it's not so much about what somebody else says about you. It's about how they feel about themselves and what they want to attain and their vision of how they want to get there. So it's cool.
Do you see this as really a test of your acumen as a trainer? What's the challenge for you to get on the other side of September if in October you got 3 wins in a row?
Well, I don't live my life with an if, so it's always a win. So, but I just see myself as I don't know what they'll say about me, nor do I kind of get involved with that, but because I just care about doing my job. So my mind is all about they hired me, they came in for a reason, and doing whatever they hired me to do. That's all I care about.
Dealing with those personalities, those temperaments, and all the pressure. Every fighter has something inside them that burns bright, that makes them want to lace these gloves up. Now, after the weigh-in, fortunately, there was no scuffling between the camps. The fighters kept their hands off each other. But in the back, I don't know if you know this. Do you know that Caleb Plant and Jermall Charlo got into it?
I didn't see it, man. I'm like not into it. You know what I mean?
Well, let me show you.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, look.
Take it back. Ooh.
Right? Like,
Ooh. Damn. That's a good left hook.
I mean, what's your reaction to that?
Hey, man, I talked to them before they were kind of getting into it. They kind of like told Caleb to step away and Jermall, whatever. Hey, man, I don't know. It's unfortunate.
Wait, so were you there for the inception of this? Because obviously this is
No,
when the
at
thing...
the beginning of it, I saw it. I mean, it was like, yeah, I saw them talking, and I was telling Caleb, man, you should just let it go, you know what I mean? And he was like, okay, coach. But then Jermall touched him, and that's when he like did his beard. And that's when he said, man, and then I'm talking to him, but at this point he's not listening to me. So that's really kind of what it was. And then, I mean, that was like maybe an hour later from when I talked to him, so.
So Jermall put his hands on Caleb first.
Yeah, he just,
He didn't touch him, though.
Oh, yeah, he touched me.
So, I mean, can this be justified?
Probably so. I think probably so, yeah. I'm not saying I wanted him to do that. I tried to de-escalate that, but I didn't think he was going to do it, but I kind of saw like, he might. That's why I kept trying to talk to him.
Now, I mean, I know Jermall is a fighter that you're preparing, but I mean, how much closer can 2 guys be than being twins, both in the same sport, one giving up a fight for the other? Are you going to counsel Jermall? I mean, he must be close to camp.
Well, I talk to him all the time. If I get time to, I talk to him, I call him, I talk to him. So really, it's like I'm always counseling. That's what a boxing trainer really is a counselor. I mean, a life coach, basically. So you do your best to affect these guys in a positive way to where you can kind of help them to where you never even get to that point. That's why I was talking to him before to try to de-escalate that so we didn't even get to that point.
Another time we saw a fighter like emotions override themselves as Anthony Joshua, who's obviously in your camp. And, he lost the unified heavyweight titles. It was very difficult for him to accept in that moment. He said as much. Now preparing for his rival, his countryman, White, a rematch, one that White believes that is overdue. How do you change what needs fixing?
Just work with them, and you work with them, and you get him to believe who he really is, like know who he really is, and know what his true abilities are. I think that before, he knew that there were things that he didn't know, but he didn't know how to get them, but he knew that he needed something. But for me, he's getting it. I'm teaching him this, I'm teaching him that, and that's really that's where you get the confidence from, is that you know what you're doing, and So today we spent all day, man, my arm is killing me. On last 2 days, nothing but right hands. Never threw a jab, never threw a net. All right, every variation of it, but yeah.
Is there something to the cultural nature of Black Americans in boxing? Like, we got the Philly style, there are styles for sure, but is there something that even nationally will be different for Joshua's experience coming from the country of England?
Oh yeah, really, what's funny about it is, I was at dinner when I was in London, and the confidence that Americans have about who you can become and what you can do is like something that they truly envy. He's like, man, how they see Errol, and how he's so confident. And so in the UK and other parts of the world, they're not like that. Right? But to be the Black experience, he's experienced a little bit, but it's not like, when you're so big, you kind of really don't experience it. You know what I mean? And he's British, so he's here, but he's kind of not. People. It's different.
Is there something stylistic the way you fight? A slickness to it? Fighters in your camp, American Black fighters.
I think that for me it's more technical, so me it's more basic. It's more about defense first all day long. And at the same time, it's about, because I don't want him to get hit at all. And that's what I care about, defense. And you build from that, because when you know you can't get hit, that's when you go get him. You think about this, when Mike Tyson had all these issues late in his career, he realized he had no defense. But he didn't know how to reach out and say it, because if you watching him, he was getting hit with shots he had never got hit with before. So it's all about his defense.
And lastly on this, Joshua will likely be the underdog on his climb back to the heavyweight championship, and if he were to become undisputed, I don't know that there's anybody at the top of the heavyweight division that he would be picked against to win. So what do you need to bring to his arsenal, stylistically and mentally, that will make him fit for a journey to become undisputed heavyweight champion, which is his goal, against the competition ahead of him?
I think that it's so much about me just constantly building the skill set. Building his skill set, teaching him how to fight at every point, every round, corner, the ring, everywhere, to where he's never thinking about what do I have to do, what I need to do. Just, he knows what to do when he's right here. He's in the corner, he's on this ropes here. In the middle ring, he knows what to do. So that's my goal, is to make sure that he never, He's just automatic. When he does this, he does this, he does this. You do this, you do that, you do this. And Dillian White is a great fighter. He's strong, he's very aggressive, and he's going to come out to win. So we have to be prepared for that and very defensively sound.
And lastly, if we see on Saturday night, what are we looking for Errol Spence to do? If there's one thing I can be like, okay, if I see that, I know the game plan's working. I know Errol is doing what he wants to do in there.
Just him being consistent. When you see him do something one time, and be able to be consistent, and create situations or take away situations from Crawford that he really wants to do or make on his strengths, and create situations and scenarios for himself.
Well, one man that we know is consistent, and that's the reason that you're trainer of the year, is Derek James. You've been consistent in this boxing game your whole career, and now it's all coming to fruition for you. So congratulations on that accolade, and we see you Saturday night. Good luck. Thank you for the time. Always a pleasure with the coach, the trainer, the teacher, Derek James, Radio Rahim.